There was this guy that I lived next door to. His name was Tony Zetlin. And Tony was like this, he was a legend, man. Fucking Tony Zetlin. He worked, he was with Capitol Records, and he worked on like the marketing side. It's like one of the heads of marketing. And he came over with Pink Floyd from the UK, and he worked with the Beatles and Journey and all these great bands, man. And I just remember Tony, he lived right above me. So I'd go hang out with Tony all the time. He's an older guy at the level of retirement, basically, getting ready to wrap up his Hollywood career and move back to the countryside of somewhere, London or somewhere out in the country. I don't know. But Tony had this phenomenal collection of rock and roll memorabilia. And when I'm talking phenomenal, I'm talking about like mother plates from Beatles recordings, like master plates, like there's one master plate, right? Mm-hmm. And then the A's and the B's get printed off of that master, and that master's retired. They bring in a second edition master. He had master copies of like Please Please Me and I Want to Hold Your Hand. And like shit that you just will never see. Most people will never see ever, right? And we would talk about rock and roll stuff, and I'd go up to his place and we would watch. He'd have me like watch the history of the history of like the British music invasion, part 1 through 4, and we would watch it intently, smoking weed and doing bumps and probably drinking wine or something, and just focused on watching this history. And then he would quiz me on this stuff. And I learned so much through hanging out with that guy. And I remember one day, like, we came back to his place and we were hanging out, and he was like, I got to tell you one thing. He said, don't take this personal. He said, but I need you to hear me. And I was like, all right. He said, you need to shut the fuck up and start listening to everything that everybody says that's around you. He's like, that's the one thing that I've picked up. He's like, you start to talk. He said, you're a talker. He's like, shut the fuck up and start listening. And I really took that to heart, man. Because I looked up to him. Yeah. He was a role model, And I think at that point, like, that's when I just started really becoming kind of quiet. And I'm not a quiet guy. But taking it all in.
Sure.
Learning to absorb, not only the frequencies, but also the energies that you were surrounded by.